Was good, yeah. It's time for this Rork showcase, and we'll be going through everything from gear to numbers to how you use them, is what I would like to say. But I don't know, it's getting to the point where it's ridiculous. We have now another character where Moonton decided to, in the skills, in the talent, it's always a death sign at this point. If it says damage scales off of HP or damage scales off of defense, the character is going to be mid. Like mediocre to even bad.
Our research begins.
And the reason for that is going to be very, very simple. Either it's them underestimating or making the multipliers bad, or something in their damage scaling off of HP slash defense doesn't fit into their damage formula. Because pretty much all characters, besides maybe Garn, but even Garn isn't known for damage, all characters that state that their damage scales off of HP turn into trash, mediocre characters. And that's because, let's take Rork for example. We have pretty strong gear. We have a Sorbonne Arcana set. We have a total of 77k HP. We have 212 attack speed. We have 150% crit rate. 150% crit damage. And if you throw this dude into Guild Boss, if you have him fight the Guild Boss, you're going to get 21 million damage. Like, I wish I could just go and show you, oh wait, he's so great, oh look at him, he looks awesome, we have another character to look forward to, but in this way, the characters it's not working. Like, Moonton needs to change the way they're approaching these characters. The same goes for, who is he? Jorge, George, whoever you want to call him. Like, ooh, damage scales off of defense, yay, damage scales differently, ooh, he's probably gonna do damage. No, he does fuck all. He does fuck all, he barely does damage. And the biggest problem now, again, is if you build your characters for damage, not only do they barely do damage, but you lose survivability because you bring in offensive stats. And even if, that's also the biggest problem. If you go fully into damage, you don't do enough damage. And if you go fully into tankiness, you aren't tanky enough. And that is because you have wasted abilities. You only have so many abilities on an epic character. And for example, right here, this is not a defensive ability. What does it matter if Plague spreads? If Plague doesn't do damage, it doesn't matter if it spreads. This could have been, it gives him a 60% HP shield every 20 seconds. That is what it could have been, but it isn't. So, yeah, that's what we're at. We're at a point where Moonton can't design characters that are based off of HP or defense, because they, number one, aren't tanky because they have offensive pieces in their kit, and number two, they don't do damage because either their scaling doesn't well or the multipliers are way too low, and it just turns into a bad character. You can try to somehow sell him, and it's not even like it's just Rork. Let's actually go through the characters. Let's actually go in, dive through them, and figure out all the bad characters. Edith, instead of giving her, again, damage on her ultimate, you could have given her defense. You could have given her something more defensive. You could have given her extra block. She would have been a better tank. It's the problem. If you want damage, go for a fighter. If you want tankiness, go for a tank. There's no reason to make a defensive HP scaling, whatever scaling, dude. It just doesn't work at the moment. They all pretty much suck. So, Edith sucks. York sucks. They don't necessarily suck, but they're mediocre. Jorge sucks. Gluttony's main reason why he's good is because he eats people. It's not because his damage scales of HP. His damage is still mediocre. If you put him into Gibbos, you also get 20 million damage. Let's continue down the list. The very first OG of suckiness, Azor. Azor is, again, you having someone that scales off of defense trying to go offensively, but he doesn't do damage. And because you go offensively, he doesn't have enough defensive abilities, which makes him squishy. So, also trash. Next one. This guy. I mean, he is a defender that's not based off of anything, but he's supposed to attack, but he doesn't do damage, and again, is shit at tanking. So obviously he doesn't count as much, but he also sucks. Who else do we have? Obviously, before we forget him, the man of the hour, the man of the fusion, Crowdor. It's the same. He is also super disappointing. Damage scales off of defense. Yay! Woo! Ah! But it's pretty much like, oh wow, so he goes into this Braveheart and then he does AoE damage and inflicts stun, and then yeah, it's the good part about Crowther is he's at least tanky. He gets nice defense and nice block through his ultimate. He gets physical reduction through his passive. He's good at tanking, he's good at blocking, but he again also sucks and does barely negligible damage. Even with something like this. This is again super high defense, high crit rate, high crit damage, high attack speed, and he still doesn't do damage. They do not work. You could even give him this artifact and it's all going to be the same thing. It is really, I don't know, it just hurts. It just hurts. Alright, so here we have Trusk, another beautiful example. All damage scales off of defense. Yay, woo, oh, he's probably gonna be such a good damage dealer. Oh wait, his kit has parts that are just damage dealing and not tankiness, which makes him do not that much damage, and then he's squishier than just a normal standard tank, and you should have just used a tank instead because his damage isn't relevant. Oh no. Like, it's really a really big problem with the way they're designing characters at the moment. Like, they can envision them all they want, but they just turn out sad. They just turn out sad, and then obviously the last one to finish it off, or I guess you could say last two, but she doesn't really count because she was just like that made up character for the Crawler fusion. So we have Rork again. We already briefly talked about him. He just does damage, but he doesn't do enough. You should have just used a different tank. We're at the point where you kind of gotta question if they even know how to design the characters. It feels like every defense-based damage dealer, tank, whatever, either needs more tankiness or you gotta 10x their damage numbers, because their damage really isn't relevant. Like, it doesn't actually do things for anyone. Because you want your tanks to survive, you don't need them to do damage. If you want them to do damage, use a fighter. I don't know if we've missed someone that's also defense related, but I don't know. It's yeah. There are no promising characters like that. It's game over. It's pretty much by this point, every time you see damage scales off of defense or HP, you know the character is going to do mediocre damage and be bad at tanking. It's just, why? Like, why do this to us? So please, if you can somehow manage it, Moonton, do make those characters more relevant. Give them more tankiness or give them more damage, or figure out if your scaling is working the way you intended, because it can't be that you give a Rork a full endgame gear as much as you can go with the Sorbonne Arcana set with high crit damage, with really high HP, with high attack speeds, with even a Wailing Skull at 25, and you end up with 21 million damage in Guild Boss. Like, this can't be it. Then just give him, yes, damage scales off of HP, but give him fully tank. Give him 2 tank abilities if you don't want him to do damage. Even in AoE, you could put this guy into 119 and he's gonna do nothing. His damage is not gonna matter. Just use an AoE mage, give that one better gear, or use a support that boosts the AoE mage instead of actually bothering with characters like these. Like, Rork looks really awesome. His kit sounds nice. Wow, he can give a shield to whoever he likes. He's a Northern Faction Lord. Falshia is getting the rework, so Falshia can get the shield. Everyone's going to get stronger. Even doing his ultimate, he can give himself a shield. He'll boost his own shield if he triggers his own ultimate. Wow, he'll be doing 300% AoE damage up to 8 targets. Wow, isn't that all that great? The answer is no. So, I guess rant session over. Rork is disappointing. See you later.